people, and I call it Vox Populi, voice of the occasionally interested people. It's also, that's why we have representative government, because some people are working for a living and they've got things to do, or you're getting an education, or you're following your dreams and your passions, and you can't spend every minute of your life like I do watching C-SPAN and, you know, going to political events and stuff like that. You hire people to do a job, to use our money as well as it can be used, and to help the most amount of people that it can possibly help. So what I've learned is that when you're having those kind of conversations with people, you know, one person's pro-life, bedrock belief, not going to change it under any circumstances. Somebody's pro-choice, not going to change it. How can these two people be in a conversation with each other where anything meaningful happens? And what I learned hosting this radio show was, if people listen to each other, if you sort of say, you know what, I want you to spend a few minutes telling me why you're so strong in your opinion this way. And everybody listens to that person until they're finished. And they say, okay, now we're going to listen to this person. Now, the fact that they just got listened to for 5 minutes means that they're going to be a little bit more interested. You know, they don't want to be the rude guy. They don't want to lose their argument because they weren't patient. So now this person talks, and at the end of it, they're still not going to change their opinion, but they're not going to think of the other person as a villain. And man, that is so important, because there are a million other issues that affect us in our lives, our education, our health care, you know, things that affect our peace and safety, a whole host of things that government, you know, can only do. So what do I do? So I go around and I'm like the passion guy. I'm trying to play it cool right now, because when I get fired up, I get fired up. You mentioned the story about that I was telling at the university about the first time I ever did anything in politics. First of all, how many people, let me just see my crowd, how many people have volunteered before in a campaign? All right, so this is the choir. Y'all are the choir. Okay. Well, how many, raise your hand if it's your first time into a space like this before. Yeah, okay, 2, 3, good. Welcome. Welcome. Wait till, if you decide at some point to take the next step and make a phone call, it's absolutely terrifying. You sit down, they give you a little script, and you read the script, and you're like, well, I don't talk like that. But okay, just see what the basic idea that you're going to get out of it is. And I was in Portland, I was in Bangor, Maine 2 days ago, and I sat down, and there was this 15-year-old girl sitting over there making calls, and I'm kind of trying to hear, because she's really good at it. So I keep getting no's, and she keeps getting yeses, and I'm like, what is she saying? Is it just because she sounds like young and pretty that she's getting the yeses? And she had all these ways of phrasing things, like, how did she know how to do that? But what you realize is when you get on the phone with somebody, first you get 500, they're not homes, then you get a bunch of like, don't ever call me again, I never want to hear you, right? Those phone numbers are public information from voter rolls. Not only do we Democrats, do we Republicans, do we any party have a right to those? That's like how we're supposed to do it. You have every right to be on the phone reaching out to your neighbor. Back in the, you know, when the revolution started, the only way you could get access to information was to go into the middle of the public square and read what was put on the bulletin there, and then decide whether or not to touch your friend and say like, and run the risk that they'd say that you're a traitor. And then you build a conversation. So we watch Fox, we watch CNN, we watch MSNBC and all the other shows, and they just sort of characterize things. And every now and then you sort of have to go, wait a minute, what did they just say? And all the stuff that they were talking about, they said, well, Hillary's got an advantage because she's got a good ground game. And then they go, wait, what? Does that mean that she's like the establishment? What does ground game mean? Where did that ground game come from? They have like some sort of robotic machine that they control Democrats by, you know, some kind of a weird microchip that's embedded in everybody? No. This moment right here, you and me, where you're willing to come in and sit and listen, and I tell you what I think. And if after I'm finished you think that I didn't sound like a total moron, or you think you can do it better than me, and you decide to step into it, that's the ground game. You know, the other candidates in this election got a whole lot of great energy, passion, money, momentum, the idea that they were creating a movement. Well, Hillary Clinton has created a movement. 13 million people voting for her is a movement. Right? Like, there's no other way to describe it. 13 million people were in agreement. They may not have agreed of anything. They might have looked at 1 or 2 or 5 or 100 of the controversial things that go along with talking about her as a candidate and said, you know, I really don't like this and I really don't like that, but here's an agenda I believe in, or I really did like the way she stood up for herself and that. And ultimately, when it came down to that moment, they voted for her. And now, there are, I mean, for the people making phone calls, there's an army of people making phone calls tonight, all over this country. 400 and something offices. Do you know how many offices it is?
You know, if I knew, like,
she was on her plane with her new plane. She was so excited about her new plane. She's like, I've been waiting for my new plane. But she was really proud of the fact that over 1 million people were a part of this campaign. And you're like, what does it mean to be a part of this campaign? If I donate $5, am I part of this campaign? If I knock on a door and tell people, you know, do canvassing, does that mean I'm part of the campaign? She said it several times. It sort of goes by, I think, in the media, but she's invited people to become a part of the campaign. So really, the distinction on whether or not you're a part of the campaign is on you. Do you feel like you're a part of the campaign? If you don't, talk to somebody who's in the campaign, because I guarantee you there's common ground to be found. So, my little story with Hillary, my first story, as you were saying, I have to tell it. I tell it every time. It's the exact same every time. So if you've heard it, just go out for lunch and come back. 1992, I'm 21 years old. My mom, you guys know who my mom is, right? You know who Patty Duke is? My mom, she passed this year. Yeah, you didn't know that? What? Yeah, she passed in March. So
happy thoughts.
She was happy thoughts. Oh no, she's my mom. She's in a good place. Okay. So and she's proud of this moment. One of the last things she did on earth was vote for Hillary Clinton in the Idaho primary. And I told Hillary that. And she was very happy about that. So, she and my stepdad voted for her, and my stepbrother, or my brother, Kevin, voted for Bernie. So I was like, well, in that fight we came out one ahead, so that's good. That's it in marriage. I've been married 25 years. You're like, you know, we usually, I'm pretty sure almost always my wife and I agree on something, but you know, the worst thing that's going to happen is it'll be like nothing happened because we'll split the vote. Split the vote in our house. Anyway, so I get a call from my mom's publicist's assistant, Sharon. Sean, when we were at the barbecue the other day, you had said something, you were talking about politics, and I was going on about Jerry Brown. He's who I voted for in the primary. He was my Bernie. Jerry Brown was my Bernie Sanders. A really progressive guy, liberal guy. I was very idealistic, you know, and he was saying the kinds of things like the system doesn't work, you have to fix everything, you have to change everything, throw the bumps out. Yeah, like that. But anyhow, so I said, yeah. She said, well, the Hollywood Women Political Caucus. Caucus just means gathering, so like this is a caucus or something. We can consider this. This is a caucus, yeah. I figure 3 or more is a caucus. But anyway, these women in Hollywood, these attorneys had decided they wanted to put together a group and they wanted to support the Democratic Party and the Democratic candidate for president. So they were looking for people to go and open to speak before Hillary at CU Boulder, of all places. CU Boulder. So she said, do you want to do that? And I was like, yeah. I'd never spoken in public before. I didn't know what I was going to say. But the idea that I could be a part, that they were inviting me to be a part of like the thing that I was obsessed with watching on television, I'm like, yeah, let me go do that. So we get there, and 15,000 people. 15,000 people. It was her biggest event on her own. It was incredible. I stood up there, my knees were knocking, my palms were sweating, I had kind of a throbbing. I don't remember what I had read some briefing materials that they gave me to, the campaign's position on issues, and I forgot all that. And then, and the guy in the front's like, relax, you're fine. I'm like, oh, that makes it even worse, that makes it even worse. And all I remember talking about was, my wife and I we just got married. My wife and I are in community college, which we were, even though I'd started movies, we went to community college. And then transferred to UCLA, got degrees in English and history. Very proud of ourselves on that one. We got pregnant with Allie, our first daughter, when we were juniors, so we were like the Juno of UCLA. I don't know if you guys saw that movie. We were like, my wife's got the baby, we were like pushing the stroller around, and I was always double strapping with my backpack, and people were like, didn't you used to double strap on UCLA? Yeah, I used to see all the time. So anyway, so I just started talking about how I want to live in a world where, you know, my kids have a good school they can go to, and, you know, we can get good health care, and it's a peaceful world. And I was just kind of, I didn't really know what my political ideas or philosophy, or I just had an instinct. I was a Democrat because my parents were Democrats. And that was like the start of me thinking critically about what was going on. Well, then Michelle Schacht was there. She was a folk singer. And then Dana Delaney, who was an actress in China Beach, you know. Okay. So the three of us spoke, and then Hillary Clinton showed up. And she was, I think I just sorted out, she's the age I am right now. And she was First Lady, had been First Lady of Arkansas for how many years? Like, what have I done with my life? So she gets there, and she just starts going. And I've never experienced anything like this before or since. She grabbed that microphone, she planted her feet on the stage, and she just went for it. I guarantee you, every person in that audience was thinking, why isn't this lady running for president? She knew every issue, cold. She did something that you can't fake. And that is, she communicated from her heart, and maybe even more from her heart, from her guts, why she believed what they were trying to do. And you could tell that she wanted to help people, which ultimately is the, you know, wherever we are in the ideological spectrum, what we really should be looking for in public leaders is people who want to help us. That's like the most important thing. So as soon as she's finished with the speech, and you know, my speech got a nice applause. Thank you very much. Oh, that's very nice, very nice. She finishes. Wow, it was like, you know, fireworks and cannons going off, and people obey, crying babies and everything. And then she turns around and she shakes my hand. And she goes, "Thank you very much for coming here." And I was like, oh, yeah, of course, you know, like, wow. And we all go down the stage to this other little holding area and taking pictures and stuff like that. And then we were going to do media. We were going to do a few interviews with news cameras that had come out. And we're standing there getting ready to go into the other room. And I thought this was a really good moment for me to let her know who I am and show her that, like, I really do care, and I'm smart and I'm clever and I want to do the right thing, you know. And like, so I'm standing there next to her, and I said, Hillary, is there anything in particular that you want me to focus on in these interviews? And she just looked at me, and there's just the two of us. I mean, like in this little moment, she looked at me and she said, just tell them why you want to be involved. And I was like, wow. That was the best civics lesson I ever had in my life, or could ever have in my life. Basically, what she was saying was, if you want to have a movement, you have to trust the people that you're working with. So even though she didn't know me from Adam, she knew that I was there. She knew that I had heard her ideas. Those are the two things that she could know about me. And she said, essentially what I read is, speak from your heart and good things will happen. And so it made me want to be smarter. It made me want to understand the issues more. It made me want to work harder. And I mean, that's leadership. That's leadership. And for whatever 22 years it's been now, since 1992, somebody did the math for me, for that period of time, I watch her, I study her. When something goes wrong, when there's another, you know, problem about things that happen, I think, okay, don't just be a robot, really look and see what happened and investigate it. I watched all, I think, 6 hours of the first Benghazi testimony hearings. I watched all 11 hours. I'm telling you, all 11 hours of her testimony. People are coming and going, the kids are coming. Things that, do you want to go? Nope, I don't want to go anywhere. I sat there watching it, looking for the false thing, waiting to see the thing that let me know that, you know what, this isn't the right thing for you to support anymore. And every time I study her, and every time I watch, sometimes I think, why did she phrase that way? Or why didn't she do this? Or why doesn't the campaign do that? Or whatever. But the core, the essence of who it was that spoke to me as a leader when I was 21 is still in there fighting. And now she's got tons of battle scars. But she also has some other things going for her. She has friends. She has alliances. She has entire groups of people that have seen her, that agree with her way of doing things, and that want to support her. And somehow, we sort of say, well, that's the establishment. Like, well, I hope this, I'm 45. in another 20 years, you know, you'll be giving these speeches, right? Right? You'll be giving speeches and you'll be looking at someone your age going, well, I hope they pay attention to me. And I'll be thinking, man, I hope, like, we have to honor